Good evening and welcome everybody for a showdown meant for the ages. We have Division C quarterfinal matchup between Team Conflict and Azeroth Falcons, two teams that are no strangers to each other. And joining me here today, I have DB Smiley, one of the most premier supports in the Division C rosters. And so, Smiley, go ahead and tell the people about yourself and what you do here in Division C.
That was a little bit of an oversell. I am a support player for Misplace Alt. We were the first place team in Division C, and we're watching the second place team, Azeroth Falcons, take on the team that finished last in Division, Team Conflict.
Yeah, definitely a very strong matchup here as Azeroth Falcons are looking to push their, I guess they're push their pace really into the semifinals. They're vying for that last and final spot, potentially going up against the Misfits in the semifinals here next week. So already on the map we have a Dahaka ban, which is definitely one of the strongest heroes on this pick in terms of anchoring that top lane. So what do you think about Dahaka on this particular map, Smiley?
I think Dahaka is great on basically every map in the video game, but this one he's particularly deadly because all the altars have bushes nearby, so you never know when you're going to get grabbed by the raptor.
Absolutely. That enhanced agility talent at level 1 is just so brutal when you're able to get those stacks above 5, 6, and then you get those just really swift ganks. And when you have really hard engagement heroes to have to counter on top of that, it really it can be hard to play against. So that's a really solid ban on the side of Azeroth Falcons. However, we do have a Greymane ban on the side of Team Conflict.
Yeah, I think Greymane is a strong hero.
You kind of lagged out there, Smiley.
Apologies, I appear to be disconnecting here.
Well, I was able to hear that okay, so it might be okay.
Okay. Yeah, Dahaka band at this point is basically like King's Pawn to E4. It's as simple an opening as you get. You either want to ban him or take him on most maps. Greymane, a bit interesting, may suggest they want to go into a backline. I like Garrosh, though.
Definitely a strong hero to set up those engagements. He really punishes bad positioning super aggressively and super well. And even in the last match, we had Garrosh on both maps. And I got to be honest, we had the counter going on my screen that we ended up getting 14 flips aggressively that either resulted in heavy damage or a kill in that last matchup for Garrosh. So I like the pick. And on the other side, we're going to have Genji and Stukov, two heroes that really excel at bullying as well as displacement with how tight some of these choke points are in the Towers of Doom rotations.
I mean, part of me likes Genji. I don't really like him with Stukov, though. Stukov excels when his team can stay together. Genji is often diving so deep that you have to make a choice between healing your Genji or healing your team. Now, if they can find a way to move together and try to counteract that Garrosh engage by just all diving together, then they could get value with it. But it's going to be tough diving into that Uther that we're now seeing, who just pairs up extremely well with the Garrosh. Flip stun is just absolutely brutal. Roll20 just worked over Tempo Storm and Team Freedom this weekend in HGC running them. So it'll be pretty devastating.
Absolutely. Now, that really kind of comes down to proper positioning, with Garrosh and Uther being so good at punishing bad positioning, and Genji and Stukov relying so much on good positioning. I could see Azeroth Falcons really being able to come in, especially with this Falstad pickup that they just picked up, and really punishing any sort of out-of-bounds movement that come out of Team Conflict. So I like the choices here. Falstad definitely a very strong choice on this map, being able to split soak, and so I'm interested to see how these bans are really going to reflect the playstyles both these teams are going for.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. They're hovering a Sonya ban right now. I'm not really sure what. I guess so. Oftentimes with Garrosh, you want your second tank to be able to zone the enemy team. So Garrosh Diva, for example, can make a lot of sense. Or Garrosh Arthas, preventing someone from actually getting to their teammate or getting out. Sonya can kind of fill that role with damage. I guess maybe they're worried about the dive onto Stukov, but we're seeing a Methail ban on the other side. So that suggests Double Warrior.
Yeah, now 3 of the really solid solo laners have been taken out of this matchup, and Falstad being kind of the only real solid solo laner left that can have that global presence that's on the table on the Azeroth Falcons side of the things, it really kind of limits how Team Conflict can be able to use the macro element of this game, or out of
Right.
this particular map, to, I guess, force a bad decision is the best way I can explain it. And so those anchors that you so heavily need on this map up in that top lane are just not there for Team Conflict as of yet.
Yeah, they have 2 picks here to kind of assuage my doubts right now. I'm worried they're going to fall into a position where Azeroth is both able to work pickoffs with the 4-man and just let Falstad soak all the XP they need. But we are going to see the Joanna come out here trying to just be able to protect her team. And then Muradin. So we are seeing actually pretty beefy frontline. Double tanks and double true, like, solo tanks by their original definition.
Absolutely, and that is a lot of ability to collapse onto a target that gets flipped, and not really any solid targets as of yet for a really good flip. Genji has a lot of disengage. Stukov's not really ever in position to get flipped unless he's just super caught out. Johanna and Muradin could both get out, so the Garrosh is kind of being limited just based upon his ability to get to anybody to really flip and displace. So I like these micro choices here.
Yeah. And also, it's worth noting, I mean, Stukov, he could either go massive arm and just try to target the garage to completely eliminate their engagement with the short cooldown, or he could go flailing swipe with a bit much more of a foolproof way to disengage the enemy team, but, at the expense of that longer cooldown. They need some kind of sustained damage, though, to be able to deal with that Uther, and on the other side, we're seeing a Nubarak Tychus.
I like this. I like Tychus because he really limits the amount of ability that Johanna and Muradin are going to have in that front line to peel. And then a Nubarak enables those heavy engages so well with Garrosh and isolates targets with that cocoon that really, if you cocoon Stukov or Genji, either one of them, and then melt one of the front lines, or even Chromie, and you melt one of those front lines, I mean, you're going to have a bad time. So I think that Azeroth Falcons kind of have the draft in this particular one.
Yeah, I'm definitely giving the edge to Azeroth. I like their ability to flip. Tychus has problems with range. We'll just bring the enemy to him. That'll solve the problem. Tons of lockdown potential. You got the global with Falstad. I just don't see where the consistent damage comes out from Team Conflict, and I don't think they're going to be able to kill targets in long fights.
I completely agree, and we will find out just how this map will unfold here after the loading screen boss, so stick with us. We'll be right back. And the loading screen boss has been defeated. Already on to the first map, Towers of Doom. Team Conflict versus Azeroth Falcons. And in the blue trunks, we have Team Conflict, and that's Quintaka on the Johanna, Takanami on Stukov, Mykaelin on Genji, I'm going to say Nesenkir on Muradin, and Altanyan on the Chromie.
And over in the Azeroth Falcon red corner, we're going to have Kaladin on the Anubarak. Surfer going to be bringing up the support on Uther. Scattered going to be on that Garrosh. Monoway on Falstad, and Elder Elk on Tychus.
And I like this already, investing into that deep breathing on Chromie, so wanting to maximize the amount of poke that you could potentially get on Tychus and Falstad, who both have pretty small health pools. The Nubarak's picking up that Dampen Magic, hoping to be able to zone out some of those Qs from Chromie and limit that amount of damage. And a great flip on the Nesenkir as well. Muradin caught out, but a great amount of return damage, and it's just not quite enough as we have an early kill onto Muradin.
Yeah, we are seeing Chromie going the Dragon Breath build. That makes me even more concerned about the consistency of damage that Team Conflict's going to be able to put out. Now flip onto Joanna. Dragon Breath actually hits 4 people there, so maybe you're going to be able to stack that quest up quick. Quantica just trying to get away. Tychus on the chase. Going to eat a face full of sand and going to back off.
I love Johanna for this particular matchup. It's just, she's such a hard flip target. Muradin didn't really have his ability after all the lockdown and the stuns to be able to get out in that initial engagement, and 2 really good flips by Scattered already, and Quintaka just really flexing that, I'm going to say flexing the D, and being able to get out.
Now I noticed Genji has not taken a level 1 talent yet, so I'm not sure what that is, but we are seeing Stukov go with the Fetid Touch build. Usually what you want with this build is you want slower, longer engagements, so I think maybe that's what they're trying to aim for, with just having Murd and Joanna just eat all the damage and get time. You're gonna have to be careful with the flips, but they could make it work.
Yeah, as soon as all those cooldowns are down for the side of Azeroth Falcons, it really becomes hard to make any sort of engagement really work. And we have the battle of the tanks going on the bottom as Nasanki is trying to bully out Kaladin, but it's just, I mean, it's not really happening. Both these tanks are really, really beefy, and they're just going to kind of stall out that bottom trib as both teams are set to posture and just retrieve their own up in the top lanes here as the altars spawn here in about 8 seconds. But a lot of missed soak there in the mid lane, maybe a little miscommunication?
Maybe, so. Definitely, though, right now, this is a big advantage over to Azeroth because of that global. We are seeing Joanna come in using that flashlight to get the interrupt, but that's not going to work twice. And first shrine channel by Blue, but now a Nubarak on the bottom, not going to be able to stop the Genji channel, and I don't know if Team's going to get there fast enough. So Team Conflict, going to take 2 of 3 here. Yeah,
a little bit of an XP lead, though, for Azeroth Falcons, so they definitely could punish, even though they missed a lot of that, a lot of those shots, 4 in total. This is definitely an opportunity for them to maximize the XP, given that global advantage, and they did do quite a bit of good work here, clearing the lanes out and getting them pushed up a little further, as we have camps now spawning on the map, and these camps are definitely hard to counter against. So I like how overall Azeroth Falcons are bullying the map so far and just trying to play it to their advantage, even though they're missing a few of those core shots.
Now we are seeing vigorous reuptakes. That kind of flies in the face of my earlier theory of wanting long fights. Usually with longer fights, you want that mana reduction from one good spread. But Stukov gonna have bursty heals late game. They are investing in late game with this talent because it does take a while to build that up. So we'll see where that goes and keep an eye on that talent quest.
Yeah, no, we do have that that Dragon Breath build really occupying the space here for Chromie. And then a Shuriken Mastery picked up for Genji as well is really going to allow Michaelin and then as well as Altanian to be able to stall these fights out and poke like crazy and hope to get Uther to be really harassed on those cooldowns. And a great flip onto Sankir in the mid lane. He's going to Dwarf Tross out, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Everybody mounting up to engage, and
missed grenade, though, from Tychus. He might be able to get away off this. Nope, Scattered's got to get the flip. No, he dwarf tosses out before the flip comes in, and he gets away.
That is
Burden's kind of hard to kill.
Great job by Nasank to be able to get away, and ultimately some aggressive positioning here from the side of Team Conflict, as Takanami, Altanian, and Quintaka are already on the bot lane, ready for this tribute, and Falstat's still in the top lane.
Yeah, they did overcommit to try to get that Murden kill, which prevented their rotation, but they managed to get down here in time. An Uberak with the channel, obviously not going to get it here, but I think Team Conflict's just going to want to just sit in here and try to win this poke war.
Yeah, now Falstad, Amanaway now joining the fight. Team Captain definitely there for his team. Kotaka taking a little bit of damage, but Scattered's really the brunt of it, and Kaladin caught out a little bit. Elder out doing a great job of zoning his own teammate. And there we go, Stukov with that lurking arm almost cutting off an entire side of the map. Health bar's a little bit too low to continue this poke war on the side of Azeroth Falcons, and that is going to be the bottom altar. Second altar phase going the way of Team Conflict.
And they're just taking advantage of the Uther. He cannot heal out long fights. He like short bursty engagements, but they were not able to get a flip there that enabled them to secure that first kill. And how about this targeted excision taken by Stukov? I love that talent. That is one of the highest skill talents in the game. You have to land your W on exactly one target, but you stack that with vigorous reuptake, and you're going to be healing like a madman in the late game.
Absolutely, and we got some camps being picked up by both sides here. Well, actually, just by Azeroth Falcons is a big collapse down in the mid lane, or sorry, the bot lane as well is going to have Elder Elk and Kaladin bullied out of the lane, and ultimately this is going to be quite a bit of damage being able to be done to the towers as well.
And we are seeing a 1-1-3 split and a 1-2-2 split. Falstad right now soloing the mid lane as Uther rotates top to help deal with that Genji against the Muradin. It's a lane matchup Falstad wins, but normally you want him in those side lanes soaking so he can fly to the longer objective. But so far, you got to give a slight edge to Team Conflict on the objective, even though the XP is not right in their favor at the moment. But if they can improve those macro plays, they might be able to win this one.
Most definitely. And a little bit of a misclick as I did accidentally pause the game for a half a second. Apparently I'm experiencing a little bit of frame rate issues here. I'll be able to get that cleared up as soon as this map is over. I apologize for anybody watching or attempting to watch at this point for any of those little spikes of frame rate issue. But regardless of that, we still got a heck of a game on our side here as we've got this middle altar spawning as well as 10s on the horizon for Azeroth Falcons.
And this is another solo shrine in a row, so this game is actually going to potentially go quite a distance because of the small number of shrines. But here comes the poke war. Now Red needs to pick the engage. They flip. They get the flip onto Muradin. Not really the target you want. Try to turn around the Joanna. She's going to pop the Iron Skin and walk away. No big deal. She's fine. Scatter trying to get the flip onto Stukov, but he dodges. Now Scatter going to have to blow his own unstoppable to get out of there as the poke war continues.
Yeah, definitely a lot of ability to sustain this poke war on the side of Team Conflict, so they need to be able to get a kill early as Azeroth Falcons, but Amanoway is being zoned out completely from his team, Michaelan as well, and the health bar is just a little bit too low on Azeroth Falcons to continue to poke this out.
Yeah, they are looking like you're going to try to get in to stop that Muradin. There's the Q. Muradin didn't actually get hit by it, but used the Stormbolt to try to get the stun. Now, Anubarak a little bit out of position. Falcon punches coming in from Stukov, doing quite a bit of damage. Here comes another Dragon's Breath, but now Joanna a bit out of position. Is she going to be able to get away?
Yeah, she's going to get away, but this is ults picked up, and now Johanna gets blown up by Amanoway coming back into the engagement. This is exactly what they were stalling for. Ults fully picked up. Odin is being popped, and Altanian in a little bit of a bad spot as well is going to have to back away. Elderock on the chase, and this is going to be the second altar being picked up for Azeroth Falcons as 10s are now hit for Team Conflict.
Now we are seeing the taunt taken from Garrosh, but the big talent that stands out, Divine Storm from the Uther. So really trying to commit to those blow-ups, maybe trying to counter that Genji dive. Genji wisely taking X-Strike to avoid that Divine Storm.
I like it. I like it definitely. It allows for a lot of that poke war to be collapsed upon with that Dragon Blade. As soon as you get the health bars a little bit low, which we've seen quite often on this particular matchup, these teams are really good at trying to stay in posture when those health bars are pretty low. And Dragon Blade executes on that very, very well against the Uther. So I like that they're really committing into this drawn-out poke war, into trying to get a few picks after that poke war has been stalled for long enough.
Yeah, and just keeping an eye on those talents. Chromie is one W away from finishing her W quest. Didn't get it there, that was a miss. But Genji, 58 out of the 75 needed for Shuriken Mastery, so he's getting up there too. Hopefully these quest talents can start playing dividends. And Garrosh now a little bit low, but this is a 5v3.
And a good flip onto Quintaka as well, and a good stun as well. And that's going to be full body blocks, taunt going down, and Johanna's going to be capped off, but that huge flail by Takanami, and that is going to be a very, very quick kill onto Quintaka, just not quite enough to be able to peel and get out. And now we have a full collapse here on the bot lane, as Scatter's got a pretty low health bar, but he's still got all his cooldowns available, minus taunt, so look for maybe some sort of an engage here. Quintaka already down, so they definitely have a lot of really healthy flip targets.
Yeah, and they baited out the Iron Skin, and once the Iron Skin was down, they got the flip, and they knew they had Joanna. There's just so much CC. You have the flip, you have the stun from Uther, you have Anubarak stunning things, you have Tychus's grenade, just so many ways to prevent Joanna from getting out of there. But it looks like we may be seeing a trade here unless Tychus can manage this interrupt, and we do get a 4-for-4 trade, so still lead in favor of Team Conflict on the game, but they haven't been able to really win team fights yet.
Yeah, that Chromie Deep Breathing quest has been completed. Just so much value from Altanian being able to get that huge amount of poke, and you can see it. Elder Elk already down to half HP, but a great flip onto Altanian is going to secure the kill. Cocoon going down as well. Takanami on the retreat, and I believe that's Genji inside the Cocoon.
It is Genji, and oh my goodness, that CC chain. Who was in that Cocoon? I forgot. I don't think anything was in there. I think it just opened and it was just empty.
There was just death inside of that Cocoon, just a little bit too much to handle. As now we have this bottom bell tower potentially being taken by Azeroth Falcons, definitely on the upswing, as this will give them their level 13 talents and a huge advantage coming into this next team fight.
Yeah, and it just seems right now Azeroth is just bullying. They know they're the better team fighting team, and they're here to show it. The really just fantastic follow-up onto that flip. The stuns are there every time like clockwork. And now they're going to try to push these pumpkins through the bottom lane. Well, they're not going to try to push them, but they're at least going to put them in the bottom lane.
Absolutely, and this is just cleanup duty at this point for Team Conflict, as we've got the 5th altar phase spawning, and this is all 3. 1 in the mid, 2 in the top, and this is definitely time to clear up that bottom bell tower, get that out of the way, but we have a full collapse, well, a 4-man collapse on the bot lane, as Azeroth Falcons are looking to defend this bell tower and try to get as much value out of having 1 additional as possible. Good amount of damage, though.
And now, though, a 5v4 potential. No engagement coming, though. It just seems like Team Conflict's really afraid of an engagement, but that's going to let Falstad just go up and take top uncontested. While I say that, here comes Genji, 1v1 up in the top. Gus going to try to secure Falstad's escape. Genji on the chase, missing the X-Strike. Meanwhile, in the bottom, scattered very low. Chromie sitting back, poking safely. Nobody really challenging her. And is this Garrosh going down? Yes, it is. First kill for Team Conflict.
And it could be another, as Amanoue needs to back off, and that's going to be a top bell tower, or sorry, top altar going the way of Michael and company. So he's going to be able to secure both of those, as well as the one in the mid lane for Team Conflict. So despite having less bell towers and less overall teamfight capability, they're able to split and get the most amount of value out of that engagement as possible. And already 15 shots left on the core of Azeroth Falcons, and this is definitely the team that was favored coming into this match, Azeroth Falcons. But so far, I mean, it looks like Team Conflict came in this with a plan.
Yeah, they came in. I mean, they got 9 shots there to 0. Azeroth's going to push him mid. I did love the awareness by Genji to say, look, I need to go up. I'm the only one with the mobility to stop Falstad. And he manages to win the 1v1, not getting the kill, but winning it enough to be able to get the both top shrines against the weak Falstad while the rest of his team was distracted. Really good play by Michael.
Absolutely. And I just want to highlight the amount of damage that has been done by Chromie so far. 25,000 hero damage, 56,000 siege, and that's the strength of that deep breathing combo here in the bottom, in the build here for Chromie, as Altanian's really exercising it to perfection here, getting his team a lot of XP, getting his team a lot of poke damage, and a collapse up on the top lane is going to have Scattered caught out a little bit. A huge amount of damage from the Chromie, but a great gust by Amanoue is going to allow for his team to disengage and ultimately just kind of reset. And we might look for another engagement here, but we do have camps available.
Oh, and Stukov stuck around just a little bit too long. Flailing Swipe is in vain. That was a win. They had won out Gust, and then you just kind of stuck around in front of your tanks too long. And now the chase is on. Blood is smelled in the water.
Yeah, now anybody in a really good position to deal a lot of damage, except for Chromie in the backline, as they're going to do a ton of damage. And Sankir getting caught out as well, as Divine Storm is popped. And that's a huge blow up onto Muradin, and this could be top bell tower.
This could be top bell tower. This is a 3v5 at this point into level 16 talents. You do have the tower to defend under, but right now you have to worry about those 2 bell towers. This is potentially 8 shots over to Azeroth Falcons. This would make it an 18 to 15 game and close that gap, but Quant might be losing his life. Pops the Iron Skin to try to get away. Cocoon, though, there's the flip. Johan's going to go down.
Yeah, well, Tanyan just a little bit too late to be able to rotate around and help his team poke that out.
And Genji having to use the X-Strike to get away, but that's 2 bell towers over to Azeroth Falcons. And this game is now a three-point game.
Absolutely, and I do want to just take a moment to apologize for anybody watching. It appears I'm just experiencing some latency. It is personal side, so I do apologize for that. Potentially next game we could have Smiley in OBS so that we can allow for a little bit of a better viewing experience, but I appreciate everybody's patience in enjoying the game anyway, as Stufka gets blown up by a huge flip from Scattered.
Yeah, you know, once again, just they're working those pickoffs. I think Team Conflict needs to just take a deep breath. They need to realize that they're not losing on the overall scoreboard right now. The only way they're losing is they're just making silly little rotational mistakes. Genji in position to make one of those right now as he is alone with his team. Cocoon is up, and that could bode very poorly. The engagement is coming in 4v5 with no healer nonetheless. And the stuns come in on the Michael, and he's going to have to back up. I just want Team Conflict to get out of here. That's all I want.
Absolutely. They need to back away. They need to re-engage when they feel comfortable. This is not an engagement they want to take. And a great pull on Nasenkir as well. And he's going to take a ton of damage. But a great W by Ultanian is going to allow for him to peel away. And I think this is just going to be both teams backing off, resetting. Camps are on the table, and we've got an altar spawning in the bot lane. And that bottom bell tower, defensively for Azeroth Falcons, is low enough. This could be, if a bad team engagement is taken, this could be 5 shots going the way of Team Conflict.
Yeah, speaking of bad engagements, looking to invade that camp, realize they only have 3 to 5. Anubarak didn't make the kind of jump I'd like to see to try to force the situation, but 5v5 fight, this fight is just absolutely critical to the rest of the game.
Yeah, this could dictate the pacing of the rest of the game. As we have a lot of time on the death timers now. We have a huge amount of potential for turtling to happen as well. But on this particular engagement, we've got a huge gust as Kaladin's having to force to be backing up a little bit. Takanami taking a bunch of damage. Kaladin also taking a huge amount of damage. We got a 1-for-1 trade, but Chromie in the backline just doing work. Nasenkir up in the front as well, taking a ton of damage. Elder Elk in the Odin is able to just force everybody to back away. Kuntaka at risk of losing life. Scattered is available to flip once again. Ultanian picked out as well, and Chromie's going to have to force her invulnerability, but it's not going to be enough. Michael getting a good return kill, however, but it's going to be in vain as he's going to lose his life as well. Only the tanks surviving for the side of Team Conflict, and 3 up on the side of Azeroth Falcons.
Yeah, the gust really set Stukov into a bad position. That's one of the things with Stukov is, more so than any other healer, he's really easy to dive. Once you get on top of him, if he doesn't have his ultimate up, there's not a lot he can do to save himself. He has no mobility of any kind, no real escapes, no cleanse, and so that's put him in a bad spot. They got the engage on him. Yeah, they traded a Nubarak, but if you can trade one of your 2 tanks for their only healer, it's probably going to lead to success in the team fight.
Absolutely, and that is in part strength to the strength of Muradin and Johanna. It's a huge amount of frontline capability in the long run. And so either one of them going down is not as big of an issue. You can still take a 4v5, especially with the likes of Genji and Chromie, who could just pour on damage at any moment. And so it looks like we've got a little bit of a posture here. Both teams trying to take opposite bell towers, one in top, one in bottom, and we do have an early one going over to the side of Team Conflict. So a little bit of backing off here as we've got 2 more sappers in the bottom lane.
Yeah, trying to walk these sappers up. Let's see what they can make happen with it. Both tanks and Stukov, so they're going to be basically impossible to kill. It's just a matter of can they kill those sappers. But the blind's coming out on the Tychus every time he tries to do damage. Slowly but surely they're getting whittled down, but the silence now on the Tychus. But the sappers gonna not pass go, not going to collect those $200.
Yeah, definitely a very good flip on the Takanami.
Genji dives in the back trying to peel him out. There's the flailing swipe. He's under the tower, but he's just not getting out of there. But Garrosh, way out of position. Still, though, it's the healer that goes down, but Tychus is down as well. It's a 4v3. One team has a healer, the other doesn't. I like what Team Conflict's doing here, splitting, making sure they're at least getting one of these. They're going to get 5 shots off of this. So this is going to put Azeroth down at 10 points, and that's even if they can get the middle shrine, but advantage definitely to Team Conflict here. They could make this 5 core health left, and in fact, that looks like that's what's going to happen. Anubarak gonna have to burrow away. Chromie in the back, dealing with that beetle, but gonna get the channel off. And level 20 picked up. Falstad go with the Gust talent, but they're just disengaging and giving this one up. Huge, huge win for Team Conflict.
Absolutely, and this is just, again, mop-up duty here for Azeroth Falcons. They need to get this bell tower back. They need to make sure that no more shots are walked in, and Boss is available. This could put 1 core health left, and you only need 1 core health to be able to continue to win the game. You know, go back into to like mount some sort of turnaround here, but I mean, ultimately, this is definitely not a spot that Azeroth Falcons expected them to be in terms of this particular matchup. This is one that they expected to come in and do quite a bit of work on.
The 5v4 engagement here in the bottom. Muradin's not with them. The tower does get converted. Sappers are still up. They're going to get cleared. There's another wave behind them to try to take that tower back, though. And very, very good decision by Conflict to leave. They've had a tendency this game to try to force fights 5v4 or 4v5, 3v5. This time they were smart. They walked away. They said, "We've done all we can here, boys. Time to pick a new fight."
Absolutely, and I'm surprised to see that Boss hasn't been contested over this entire game. I think both teams just a little bit too scared with their comps to really engage upon that, because that one bad engagement can turn the tide of this fight the entire map. And so Monoway just doing a little bit of job scouting, but with that Sapper Cat being picked up in the top lane, they know where Team Conflict is at, and now it's just defense time.
Yeah, and I think what Team Conflict is trying to do is they're trying to look for that critical pickoff to set them up for this next phase. Anubarak a little bit forward, not the easiest target to blow up on, but Slowing Sand's going to separate Anubarak out a bit. In comes Garrosh, little bit of a spreading from Team Conflict. Not punished yet, but here comes that Chromie poke. And Genji coming in. There's the huge condemn, but the Divine Storm counter-engage. Joanna very low. Her Invincible gets blown just before the heal comes in, so that's actually going to play out well. Cocoon now on to Genji, but Chromie gets the channel off. There's only 1 core health on Azeroth's core, and they have to win this fight.
Absolutely, with Boss on the table, this could be game number 1. Scattered's going to be able to get a good unstoppable out and back away, but it's not for long as we have an Insankir going in for the kill. But Insankir doing a ton of damage onto himself as well. Monoway and Surfer both zoned out, not able to capitalize. And ultimately, Odin is the last choice here.
And a huge heal from Stukov before that Gust, so everyone on blue is nearly full health. But Genji now gonna have to dash out, but the health bars are just so low, and Uther is not gonna be able to maintain the fight. Can Chromie just land a few more? Trying to get the channel in his Uther, but Chromie is saying not so fast. Genji comes back in. He's still rezzing. His health's still low, but the bar is blue and filling, and this fight is just going on and on and on.
Definitely not the fight that you want as an Uther, but a great flip onto Takanami's going to secure the kill. Good unstoppable by Scatter as well, going to allow him to even further pursue. And Sankir, having just such low health, is going to be the target of wanting to retreat. And Scattered's on the deal here.
But Genji with the Falstad kill!
Michael just playing so well today.
Are they going to get... They don't get the interrupt, more damage coming out. Anubarak and Garrosh still low. This fight is still ongoing, even though the objective's over. Scattered getting that heal from Uther, taunt onto Muradin, but without the Stukov, they're not really able to engage. And you got to give Azeroth credit. They really only had enough left in them to try to get 1 kill, and they picked the right target, and that was the Stukov. And, you know, good fight management for a fight that they were losing for as long as they were. And I got to give them some kind of credit there.
Absolutely, that was the best result in that fight I think they could have hoped for. And now, a ballsy play as Boss has been started by Azeroth Falcons. This will put the core health aggressively down to 6 HP for Team Conflict, and no response yet as we've got the Boss already at half HP.
It's possible that they're aware that this is happening and they don't care, because what they're saying is we have 6 sappers in the bottom. You know you can get the Boss, but if one of these gets over the line, the game is over. They don't seem to be too surprised that the Boss happened. They're already still just committing to their plan. Here come the sappers, though. How many are going to be left alive? There's 4 sappers or 3?
3.
Just 3. But there's the Gust to buy the time. Now, if one of these gets over the line, the game is over. But there's a lot of wave clear on the side of Azeroth.
Absolutely, that Odin just doing work, and the Sapper's already going to be cleared up, but a huge amount of damage done already onto Scatter. It's going to have him at about half HP, and this is game here for Azeroth Falcons if they cannot win a team fight. This is exactly what they need to be able to win this game.
Yeah, and Azeroth got lucky that this was a single shrine phase. Gonna help because now they don't have to worry about a sneaky split going off and getting the lethal. But at the same time, they also can't win the game here, even if they win the team fight, unless they 6-cap. But here comes the engagement, and a Nubarak gets deleted. Got silence, great silence by Stukov, zoning off the Chromie, and this is a big lead over to Team Conflict. Are we going to see the upset?
This could be the upset, and that was such a great and well-placed slowing sands, and it just allowed so much poke damage from Oltanian, and Scatter just so low on health. Michael Ann's going to be able to secure the kill. Amonaway gusting away, but it's not going to be to much effect, as now we have a full 3v5, and now we've got a 2v5 as, again, another kill. Onto Amonaway is going to follow, and that is a full 5-man wipe, and game 1 going over to Team Conflict.
And I think the best play of the game there, did you see those Joanna B steps? How evenly spaced they were.
Just
that was fucking good.
Perfect circles. Perfect circles.
But wow, that upset.
This is not the game I expected when I came into this. Not saying that Team Conflict's a bad team. They are by no means a bad team, but they had odds stacked against them coming into this because they've had a little bit of a rougher season. However, they came into this with a plan, and they executed it so well. 75,000 hero damage from Chromie. It was bested by Tychus at 97,000, but that's over a longer period of time and much more sustained poke. So Chromie getting those burst damages out and allowing for Genji to get a lot of kills. 7 for Genji. That's Michael Ann just showing that Genji can really still be in the meta, even though he has received quite a few nerfs.
Yeah, and I think you have to give... I think part of what put Azeroth behind the 8-ball was they gave a bunch of bad trades early. They traded out 2 for 1 on the first shrine. They lost the second one, and that put them in a hole. And I think it just slowly built up to where Azeroth felt like they had to try and make bigger and bigger plays. You see Falstad being forced to dive the Chromie at the end there, just trying to get the interrupt because he was the only one who could do it. And that puts Falstad in a bad position. Even with his gust, he wasn't going to be able to get out. And here we are jumping into game number 2. Team Conflict out to an early lead with a surprising win over the number 2 seed Azeroth Falcons. And if Azeroth wasn't paying attention before, they are now, as they choose to go to what could be argued their comfort map on Infernal Shrines. First pick over to Team Conflict, or first ban, I should say.
Yeah, definitely one of Azeroth Falcons' best maps. They've played it many times throughout the series, throughout the league, to great effect, and it's definitely a very, very comfortable map for them, and they've got a lot of good strategies on it, and especially after the showdown on Towers of Doom we saw where Team Conflict came in with a huge upset victory over just a tremendous amount of Garrosh flips. I mean, it was insane, but it was a great ability to out-rotate, outmaneuver, and get a lot of early picks, thanks in kind to Oltanian on Chromie mostly.
Yeah, I think Oltanian on Chromie gets a lot of respect, but for me, the MVP had to be the Michael Ann on the Genji. He just made so many critical plays. That pick off on Falstad on the last shrine, even though it didn't secure the shrine, it set them up to be able to get the advantageous fights they wanted late. But we are seeing the Garrosh ban, so yeah, thanks, but no thanks. And actually the Genji ban, so 2 potential respect bans right out of the gate.
Yeah, both teams just knowing that they don't want to play against each other and have it to be the same game as last one. So I like it.
Yeah, and so now the question is, I mean, you got to look. Dahaka's up on the map. Zul can be strong here. Kael'thas can be strong here. There's a lot of heroes uniquely powerful on this map that may often get first banned, but are on the table simply out of respect for the biggest threat. But we are going to see the Sylvanas to help try to get that push with the Punisher.
I like it. Division C Sylvanas has been a thorn in my side. I keep underestimating the value that Sylvanas can gather, especially on a map like this where post 7, she's able to get a ton of value on shrines as well as on jungling, get the macro play going, get those lanes pushed, but as well as enabling the Infernals. And I would not be surprised to see something like a Ragnaros as a pick to kind of counter that, because Ragnaros allows for a lot of really strong counterplay against the Sylvanas in the later game. So I like these picks already, and the Tassadar and Greymane coming out for Azeroth Falcons. So definitely have a plan in mind.
Yeah, Tassadar is going to give you a lot of zone control around those shrines. Those walls are absolutely deadly when most of the shrines really only have, I think mid and bottom have 4 entrances and exits. Top only really has 2. Kind of 2, 2 or 4, depending on how you count them. We are going to see the Rhaegar counter. So just a strong healer. Rhaegar is particularly strong, especially after the Uther nerfs. I've been seeing a lot of first picks on him. Then again, I'm incredibly biased because he's the only healer I'm not awful with.
Well, you've been known to land quite a few insane ancestrals, so let's see if Team Conflict can kind of live up to that hype and really allow for their team to capitalize upon Takanami's play.
Well, and Rhaegar is going to accentuate with the double W. That does create a lot of zone control, especially if you can get a strong melee frontliner. And of course, we've seen Kael'thas, so we're going to have to hold our breath there. But a lot of zone control now around the shrine with both the Rhaegar and the KT. It's going to be a lot of damage for Greymane to have to jump into, even with that Tassadar shield. And so right now, if they have the Sylvanas and they have ways to burn the shrines with the PvE damage, they're really just 2 strong frontliners away from having a comp that's going to be it's going to be a puzzle every fight for Azeroth to figure out. How do we engage such that we can get the kills without being out-traded by the living bomb spread, by the narrow spaces with the Rhaegar and the Kael'thas. So we'll see where that goes, but no frontliner yet picked up by either team. So let's see where the tanks go.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Johanna either banned here or even picked up by Team Conflict once again. They understand the strength of Johanna, and here is the ban as expected. Just so much ability to bully in that front line and so much survivability allows for KT and Sylvanas to have that aggressive positioning, and they just don't want to play against it. They understand the strengths of it, and they definitely got bullied by it last time, and that was one of the main reasons they couldn't secure kills is that combination of Johanna being up on the front line, slowing everybody down, blinding Tychus, and that
pulling people into ultimates. And actually, they hovered the Brightwing, and I was about to say, I don't like the Brightwing ban while Uther's on the map with Greymane. And apparently my psychic powers have reached Team Conflict as they've seen the light of my reason, and have in fact banned the Uther.
Yep, the light of your reason does not reflect the light in Uther, as he is removed. And I like the options that are still available. However, Malfurion definitely very strong on the shrines. One hero that I really like on this particular map because of how it plays out is, well, one Diablo, but then Lucio. I love Lucio on this map, and we've seen it played greatly on this map by a couple of Division A teams. And so I would love to see a Lucio pickup here because it allows for a lot of heavy, drawn-out rotations and then those drawn-out engagements where Diablo's looking for a really heavy engaged target and that ability to isolate somebody. So look for maybe Lucio, maybe Malfurion to combo off of the roots, and we might even get a double tank here. Still Stitches on the table here for Team Conflict as well as Murden, which they played really well last game. So I'm definitely seeing a lot of counter picking on the side of Team Conflict in terms of how they want to control the shrines.
And I want to thank the chat for feedback. I was apparently a bit quiet, so I turned myself up. Let me know how that goes. We are seeing the Diablo Malfurion, so whoever Diablo is going to engage on, there's potential ton of lockdown with the wall, with the root, and then Greymane jumping in for the finish. But talk about old school metas. What are we, a year ago with the Sonya ETC coming out? Good. How many metas ago is this draft? I mean, it's a great draft, but this is like a tier 1 draft exactly 15 months ago, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Before HGC was a thing, when we were looking at a lot of teams just vying for those Gosu gamer standings, and now it's not as important because the HGC standings definitely stand out a little bit more. But ETC Sonya, the Berserker into Mosh is just so hard to play against, especially when you got KT's living bombs going off. If you get a 2 or 3 man Mosh, you're gonna get kills. It's just going to happen. I can only pray that we also see a lead.
And we just actually had a DC on the part of Team Conflict that kicked us back to lobby. We will repeat that draft. What I'm going to do to make sure that happens is I'm actually just going to pause my stream at the moment after these picks, which will be a bit because we're on a 3-minute delay. But then we'll get back in. We'll make sure that draft went the way it did. One thing with ETC into Diablo. ETC can be a bit squishy. He's certainly vulnerable to a blow-up. If you flip him into a Twilight Dream, he's not going to be able to power slide out. So while you have... I think Sonya can help with a re-engage, and Kael'thas can certainly punish for people stacking up around the ETC to get that kill. We are in a position where ETC is a pretty easy to kill tank relative to some of the other choices. Certainly easier to kill than the Muradin last game, who had more than a few narrow escapes. So this is definitely going to be interesting. We will get back into this game as soon as we can. I do apologize for the technical difficulties. We're just waiting to get back in that member of Team Conflict, so hopefully they'll invite him in soon. But looking at the draft now for Azeroth, so we see Malfurion, we see Diablo, we see Greymane, we see Tassadar. That is a lot of potential to blow a motherfucker up. Am I allowed to say that? It's my stream. I'm allowed to say that.
I definitely agree, and I think Diablo as a solo tank needs to have those targets around him that can blow up a single target. So I can't remember quite exactly what bans were available, but if Vala's on the table, I would see Vala as a very strong pickup to pair with that Tassadar and to try to get those blow-up engagements. With Diablo being able to isolate a target and stun them out, get them onto a wall, and really isolate them, I think Vala is going to be the key go-to pairing with Greymane to isolate those targets. And I think if they're able to execute that pretty well, ultimately they could win team fights. However, the amount of zoning that can be had from Sonya and ETC, ETC with the power slides into a potential mosh, everybody's going to always be a little bit out of position, wary of that mosh. So I think we're going to see Prog Rock for a talent on ETC, most definitely, just to help his team sustain, help Sonya sustain a little bit in the front line, but also just to keep him alive a little longer while his team capitalizes on his good power slides and some good displacement.
Yep, and again, apologize. We are in a holding pattern. Just waiting for that fifth member of Team Conflict to get back in. When you look at Team Conflict, obviously the wild card is that Sylvanas. She can do more than a decent amount of damage. I think the Wailing Arrow could really upset and attempt to blow a target up. But when it comes down to it, this is a map where the objective pushes a lane, and any map where the objective pushes a lane, Sylvanas has potential to take, if you can get a level 10 versus level 9 advantage off that second shrine, you can take that to keep, and take the keep. So, Team Conflict, they need to take advantage of the early game. And we do have Altanian back in, so we do have the draft. I do have the draft in front of me, so I'll just make sure everyone's ready to go. Only one pick remains, and we're on a 3-minute delay, so we should be able to discuss that without giving away too much of the team. What do you think that fifth pick is, with Tassadar, Greymane, Diablo, Malfurion, into what we're seeing?
I'm sticking with my Vala guess. I think Vala is going to be that last choice here. I think she allows for a lot of ability to blow up, and so it's it allows for a lot of different style of play.
Yeah. My fear with the Vala is if she gets hit by a power slide into the Kael'thas, she's dead. And you don't have the burst healing from the Malfurion to keep her. You don't have the burst healing to keep her alive. So I would like to see something maybe geared towards maybe something a bit safer. Whether that is a Lunara who can be a bit more agile, or maybe even a Falstad who has the Mighty Gust. I actually do like the Falstad pick, both on the map, and if they do get the Mosh, you have that oh shit button where you press your R and the other team gets gusted away. So... apparently they picked 2 Greymanes, according to my screen. Not really sure what's going on there. 2 Greymanes. Maybe they meant to pick Abathur. I don't know. But we are having the task, and then Rhaegar and KT. I guess I need to start saying Kale, don't I? I'm not really a big Warcraft lore guy, but apparently Kael'thas is a much more minor character than Kel'Thuzad.
Definitely is, yeah. He has a little bit of a bigger role in the grand scheme of things. Kael'thas is just kind of a power-hungry guy, and Kel'Thuzad's a little bit more important.
Yep. So this is, again, I don't really know much of the lore, but I will try to say Kael'thas so as not to confuse people. We are not playing this game on the PTR. Diablo and Malfurion picks coming up.
I'd love to hold a tournament on PTR. I think that'd be fun. Like just a fun, 3v3 or something like that on PTR to test out all new heroes and stuff like that, or test out changes.
I think it would have been really fun with the Morales medevac the last few days. If you've seen that bug.
Oh yeah, I have played it and I have done it quite a bit.
It was Horsepants who timed that exactly with the Shooting Stars music meme. It was great. Alright, so here we are, moment of truth. We're going to see something deep. We are seeing a Leoric, so really putting into that Greymane being able to get kills. Leoric is actually going to lane pretty well against the Sonya, so long as he can hit his W, so if that's the solo lane matchup, definitely the edge to Leoric. Also does decent against the ETC in terms of just, out-damaging and sustaining off him, because ETC can stun Leoric all he wants. He's still getting his hope drained. He has no hope. The ETC has no hope.
I love it. And I like the Leoric mostly because it allows for a much more sustained heavy fight. Tassadar and Malfurion really allow for that kind of playstyle as well. But the problem is KT and Sylvanas do enough burst damage when you got the pairing of Sonya in the front line to blow up a target still. I don't think that there's quite enough damage with Greymane alone to be able to isolate a target. I definitely see Archon being picked up here to supplement some of that damage from Tassadar, which ultimately could give them the amount of damage they need to get some picks. But I think overall they're really playing for a shrine-heavy fight where they're just denying shrines from Sylvanas, because basically they can't lose one, otherwise they're losing a lot more than just a fort or just some towers.
Yeah, I think this is... I'm going to use the word an unstable draft from both teams. Not to say bad, but what it is that both teams in their team fights really seem to have just one win condition. And it creates the opportunity that whoever makes the biggest play latest in the game, their team could potentially be advancing on to face Misfits. But with that, I will kick it over to you, Rory, if you want to introduce Team Conflict once again.
Absolutely. In the blue trunks, we have Taka playing the ETC, Takanami on the Sylvanas, Michaelan playing those melee assault roles in Sonya, Nasinkir again, actually swapping over and playing the support this time on Rhaegar, and Altanian is on Kael'thas.
And Azeroth not doing the sprays to start this game up. Maybe a bit more of a somber tone, trying to just get focused up. But we're going to see Elder Elk on that critical Greymane. Kaladin on the Leoric, both of them heading towards top lane. Diablo going to be played by a Monoway, moving into a tank position. Surfer on the support on Malfurion, and Scattered going to be on Tassadar. So here comes the Sylvanas cheese. Top lane, they do get the tower. Do get a tower there, so that's a decent XP boost, but already Tassadar going to be able to start double soaking those mid lanes. It looks like Kael'thas going to be sticking around all by his lonesome up top.
Now that is a little bit dangerous. Kael'thas is going to be stacking Mana Addict, and he needs to be able to rotate between lanes to get at as quickly as possible. That's a lot of his survivability. Especially in a Rhaegar being your only support comp. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see him being swapped out for maybe Sonya, and then having Sylvanas sit in the top lane as well. But we do have a little bit of a scrap in the mid lane. Both teams just kind of posturing, trying to clear the lanes as much as possible. Tassadar and Michaelan going toe-to-toe in the bot lane, and already just a huge amount of Templars will stacks over to Scattered on that Tassadar as well. And I like that he's able to do this pretty early in the game. Michaelan a little bit of a misplay, I think.
Yeah, well, he's given him now 10 stacks, so decent progress towards the quest. I actually like the choice by Altanian, going into Mana Addict rather than Flame Strike. Just trying to have that safer build. He knows he's going to be the target. he's the guy that they really have to get Greymane on. And so they'll sell out and take trades if he goes Flamestrike build. So just trying to be a little bit safer. Once again, quest talents. I think there's something like 5 quest talents taken by Team Conflict in the last game. And it ended up paying off huge dividends in the late. So we'll see if it pays off again here.
You have a Moonburn build coming out from Alperian to try to supplement the damage.
Oh, ETC just got flipped over the wall. And he is not getting out of there. They try to cheese a tower, but Red Team was way too close, and into Diablo. That's just not something you want to do, and now they're going to have to probably give up this Shrine. Leoric a little bit out of position, not going to get punished by Team Conflict. Going to be able to get away as Azeroth starts the Shrine.
You would like that play from a Monoway, and as anticipated, we do have Prog Rock picked up by the ETC, so trying to supplement some of that healing. Michael Land, though, going in on the Shrine, trying to get some of that damage out, but a lot of stuns on the side of Azeroth Falcons, so that's going to be ultimately a blow-up.
And once again, we're just seeing some impatience in the early game from Team Conflict. As Sonya goes in, ETC was about 7 seconds out. If you wait those 7 seconds, yeah, you're going to have a harder climb to make up. But, ooh, and big root there onto Rhaegar and Kael'thas, and Rhaegar's going to go down. Again, just impatience. They're forcing these 4v5 fights that they just don't need to force. And if they keep doing that, they're gonna let the series get tied up. So Team Conflict needs to just be a bit more patient, needs to not panic. Yes, they pulled a big upset, but now they got to start acting like they deserve to be here.
Absolutely. This is definitely, I think, a little bit of the nerves. They understand that they've got a huge advantage coming into this particular map, and they don't want to give it up, so they want to be a little bit more aggressive, want to bully, and it's just not the time for it. They need to play a little safer. They need to play a little bit smarter.
2v4 defend. Kael'thas, actually, big interrupt by the ETC, is going to save his life. And Kael'thas going to be able to get away, but once again, KT's not there, and you're pushing into a 3v5 fight with no fort, no turnaround, though, even though the root hits. Sonya and Leoric just pretty much trading evenly in the top lane meanwhile, but now a level advantage and 3 kills over to Azeroth.
Yeah, they're coming back into this with a vengeance. They understand that they're down in the series, and they want to make the semifinals. This is definitely kind of do or die for them. They don't take this map, they're gone. They're done for Season 1. This is entirely on them. They need to play aggressive. They need to take a little bit of risk and get those early pickoffs in these fights, and so far it's working pretty well.
Yeah, and now 4 men gonna get that siege camp. Just give one thing to respond to, and gonna try to get an invade here. Kael'thas gonna flame strike over the wall. I don't think there's really the potential to engage. Still no level 7 talents being picked up. And actually, they're falling even further behind in XP. They're not getting those lanes soaked very well.
Yeah, KT missing quite a bit of damage potential in the mid lane, as well as a lot of XP, and it's going to go unsoaked, and that's a full level XP, full level and a little bit more XP lead, as well as 3 bruiser camps that have been picked up by Azeroth Falcons. It's just a little bit too much lane pressure at the moment with that split soak, and they need to get kills here to be able to really exercise how their comp is going to find success.
And for those asking in chat, I use YOLO mouse. That's why I have a nice big red mouse. I never lose it in team fights. Give it a shot. But yeah, still just Conflict. They got behind kind of in this stage of the game XP-wise, but at least they had a lead on the map with the objective that matters. Here now, they're down a fort in the bot lane, and so there's a little bit of urgency here. If they want to win this shrine, they have to win it quick, as they are about to face level 10, and they're not anywhere close, and with 5-man commit, they're not going to get XP to get there. So this is a team fight they have to win right now, as Azeroth looking to invade. Poke coming in, Amonaway looking for that critical engage, trying to shove someone into the wall if they step out of position. Good backing up there, but now a little bit of separation. ETC out alone. Amonaway going to charge him, but the face melt's going to save the power slide onto Amonaway. He's starting to drop, but he gets the flip onto that Rhaegar. Rhaegar now going down. He drops, as does the ETC. And can't believe I'm saying it, but there just didn't seem to be enough damage there. They picked Amonaway, which means you got to get a really good burst to kill that Diablo. They didn't get it there, and the Greymane turnaround with Diablo getting maxed out of his abilities. And now level 10 is picked up by Azeroth Falcons as they look to take this Punisher at a huge lead. And this Punisher is Arcane.
Yeah, that was an engagement I think that would have served them better not taking at all. They should have just stalled that shrine out for a little bit longer and then looked to gain value elsewhere. They needed to do something else in the map to gain some of that XP back. They were full 2 levels down at that point of the engagement, and that's, I mean, those are stats. That's health points, that's damage points that you're not going to be able to have.
Here comes the Entomb into the APOC. This is just potential. Oh my goodness, all the ultimates come out. Press your R buttons and good things happen. And now this is just turning into a massive, massive lead for Azeroth Falcons.
Can I say it?
Go ahead.
Combo breaker.
There we go.
What?
And speaking of combo breakers, John Cena almost kills Sylvanas, but sees something shiny and gets distracted. But huge push, keep wall down with one Punisher. You know, like I said, with the Sylvanas comp, you need to be able to get that early game advantage, and it's just not there. This is going to require a god-tier mosh by Quantaka to make this happen, and I hope I'm saying his name right.
Absolutely, and I think at this point it's just kind of mop-up duty again. I know I've said that quite a few times, but they need to get 10s. They need to get some sort of an XP lead or some of that advantage back, and they ultimately can't take any fights here. They're down 10s, about to be down 13s. Is a full 3-level lead at this point, and they need to not give anything else up.
And a little bit of indecision to macro as 4 people for Team Conflict rotate to the bottom looking for Soak. They realize they're not going to get it because of how the proximity, and so then they rotate back up the mid. If they just stayed mid, got that Soak, then they rotate down a bit more decisively. I think they're able to make this XP up quicker. It's with XP, with macro, it's all these little decisions, but it's the deadly situation, the 3 level. As soon as you pick up 10s and think you can take a fight, level 13s now on the other team. We are seeing the Mosh coming out, as well as Pyroblast instead of Phoenix.
Oh, the spicy meatball, I love it. They know they need to get a blow up on one target, and I see no better target than Malfurion. You gotta watch out, though. They can't do it when Tassador's got a shield out.
Malfurion already has Ice Block. You have a Tassador with the shield. You have 2 bulky tanks. I think the only target is Greymane. And even then, Greymane, his health growth is scales faster than other things in the game. So I gotta be honest, I would have preferred the Phoenix, but that's just like my opinion, man. But foregoing the objective, Sylv Cheese onto mid lane. Would have preferred to see them go bottom, because this is gonna allow the engagement from Azeroth. They do get the wall, and Rhaegar shaking hands with the friendly bush monster. Leoric getting Rhaegar now locked down with the Entomb. A Twilight Dream later, but a 3-man Mosh going to be countered by the APOC, and that's going to be 1 seared steak. As Sonya goes down, now Sylvanas goes down, and actually ETC gets away. But that engage probably could not have gone worse for Team Conflict.
Yeah, they need to back away. They need to get some of that XP back, and this is going to be mid-keep going down, I believe. It's just way too much damage. Quests are already just almost near completion at this point. It's India Elixir at 11. We've got Moonburn at 79 stacks, and then Templar's Will nearing 60 as well. This is just, I think, a little bit too much to deal with in terms of the amount of damage that is able to be put on with this XP lead from Azeroth Falcons. And this is the Azeroth Falcons we know. This is the Azeroth Falcons that we know and love, and this is how they play the game most often. Although good comp spread is going to allow for a little bit extra damage, but ultimately it's not going to amount to much.
Yeah, and it's just Team Conflict, whatever mojo they had in the last game that made them assertive and made them manage the fights well, it just seems to be missing here. And now, once again, foregoing that top shrine, trying to go for bottom, I think this is the lane they should have hit the first time. Create the longer rotation, use the mid lane as a buffer, see when the team's getting close. But this Punisher on top is going to go straight to keep, and it'll be lucky for Team Conflict if they manage to get the fort. I think they will get the fort here, but at best, they get away losing a keep while on top. At worst, they could lose a keep and potentially even the core. With the level 16 about to be picked up.
Absolutely. Now they are pushing keep wall, and this is going to bait a response out of out of Azeroth Falcons, as they're all being now and pretty aggressively as well. But ultimately, this is just going to be backing off.
Well, they start to be, but they all interrupt it as now they see conflict backing off. So that was actually really good awareness to, hey guys, they're backing off. Let's commit. And here they are grabbing a camp just to get a little bit of extra siege damage. 5v5 team fight here, 16 into 13.
New York looking for another great entombment. It's going to happen on
Rhaegar. Poor puppy.
Goodbye.
Someone called the ASPCA. Rhaegar is just getting absolutely destroyed this game. Pyroblast comes out, again, onto a target with Ice Block. That's either just a lack of awareness or a lack of game knowledge, but it's not a mistake you really want to be making.
Yeah, that's a long ultimate, and it is down for a long time now. 90 seconds until that's available once again, and that Spicy Meatball, I think, might be gone for game here. If they get another couple of kills, they definitely could end for Azeroth Falcons coming in the second game with a vengeance.
Diablo flipping Sonya. Root not exactly where he wanted it to be, didn't exactly get the follow-up. Now the 5v5, Greymane trying to dive. However, have they stuck around too long? Amonaway gonna charge out via the ETC, but then comes the Sun. But Sonya gonna get absolutely deleted with that root, and now the Entomb onto Kael'thas, and Greymane is just at the buffet. I'll take a little bit of this, I'll take a little bit of that. He finally goes down. 3 for 2 trade in favor of Azeroth, and they're going to be able to walk away. They did not get the keep, however, but still that mid lane pressure giving them all kinds of help.
Yeah, that's 77% on the core now. No Mule to speak of on this particular matchup, but that's permanent core damage, and that is a backdoor possibility at all times. I do want to just highlight, though, that's the first 2 kills for Team Conflict. Azeroth Falcons are at 15, but...
And Tassadar tries to sneak top, being a little bit cheeky, blows his phase shift, gonna mount up, probably gonna get away, but all the while that distraction gives time for more camp control, and the map is just turning more and more red.
You will take it for me.
Just a little bit too much aggression, I think, on the side of Team Conflict, and it's going to be the first time that they're on even talent tiers here in just a moment as they pick up 16s. We're just a few seconds away from that.
And Leoric doing his thing. He walks up, he does get the keep. And actually at this point, you know, Red, they're happy to just work the camps. They're so confident in their team fight, they're saying, look, we'll give you the early shrine control. Have at it. We'll come and kill you later. And then we'll go and probably kill your core. There's already 70% health, 77% health on the core for Conflict. Conflict, this is a do-or-die situation. For the first time in forever, they're on equal talent here. Sonya scouts the incoming bit. Stun onto the ETC. Leoric, great Entomb. APOC is just devastating. It carpet bombs the entire bottom. Mosh coming in, 4-man Mosh. But I don't think it's going to be enough. There's really no damage at this point. Everyone was so low. It's going to be a miracle. Sylvanas is going to get out. ETC probably going to get out. Leoric does a double take and then backs off. But look at already top lane and mid lane being pushed in. This is just devastating for Conflict.
Absolutely, and with 22 seconds to the last dead team member is up in Kael'thas, this is really just kind of the worst position you can be in. It is going to be pushing towards the bottom keep, the Punisher, and so they have a chance to be able to defend this, but not for long, as Kaladin now collapsing onto Takanami is going to get a ton of damage onto him. He's going to be able to get away, though. Takanami definitely very evasive, but ultimately this could be game, barring a couple of kills.
And this is the Arcane Punisher. He does not fuck about. Those lasers are just going to be wrecking. Kael'thas makes not the best decision to be the one to bait over the wall. And then there's the Entomb follow-up. Great Malfurion root. Ancestral Burn, probably a bit early, but with as much burst as Red has been able to put out, maybe it's their only choice. But Quantica is just so low. John Cena's probably going to get the finishing blow there. Couldn't tell exactly who got it. But catapults all over the core. This is just all falling apart. This is like the Battle of Hoth, and Team Conflict was the Rebel Alliance. They just got shit stopped.
What a game number 2. That was insane play out of Azeroth Falcons coming back into this game, like I said, with a vengeance. They wanted to tie the series up 1-1 and show that, hey, just because we lost game one doesn't mean we can't play. We're coming into this and we're going to win. We're absolutely going to win. And they showed that that's their mentality.
Yeah, and I have to look at kind of how the game played out. There were a lot of situations where it just seemed that Conflict really had no clue where Azeroth was. Not that it helped too much when they knew where they were. But there are a bunch of macro decisions. I think if they made different, they wouldn't be down so many talent tiers, and maybe they land that Godmosh and they get back into the game. A lot of potential missed opportunities. Really good job, though, focusing that Rhaegar. And Azeroth looking like Azeroth in a dominant win, 20 kills to 2. So we are going to look at taking this one to game number 3. And it's actually going to be, so I'm going to jump in NGS chat here, but I will flip it over to our waiting screen, so just bear with me as we get set up for game number 3, the decider between Azeroth Falcons and Team Conflict. have the sound set up. So I've been talking this whole time and did not realize that the sound was off. So apologies there. But wow, talk about committing to the Immort burn. So Team Conflict wants to win the objective. They go with the Tehran to help out that Greymane burn, and they go with the Joanna, who's, my guess, is just going to be that offensive line that just pushes back the invading forces of Azeroth, trying to get their invasion on. But definitely a huge burn advantage for Battlefield. It's going to be really hard for Azeroth to surmount it. But with the way their draft is going, they may not be looking dry. And in fact, they are going to prioritize that Uther ban. Suggests to me that they don't really want the Uther. Malfurion does play roles in double supports often. I could even see a Kharazim here because of the burn. But denying that Vala and trying to say, look Azeroth, you gave us the Immort burn. We're going to have it, and fuck you, thanks for asking. And Azeroth now needs to build a comp that allows them to just disrupt what Team Conflict wants to do. So, let's see what will happen now. Vala ban, Uther ban. I still want to see some more Immort burn. I'd like to see Lunara, and in fact, there it is. And there's the Diablo. So, very, very similar comp the last time. No Tassadar, but you're going to be trying to work that Diablo-Malfurion combo to get those quick kills. It's going to be on Team Conflict to position better than they have before. This is a situation where I don't mind Team Conflict going potentially into that Muradin. It counters the Sonya. It's going to have trouble with the Diablo-Malfurion combo, and it's going to have trouble with the Lunara. But if their job is just to zone out and say, look, Greymane's burning the Immort over here, you guys go away, Muradin could be strong for that. I could also see an Arthas being valuable. But they do have to grab a support. Now, Rhaegar's still up, and Rhaegar is an extremely intriguing pick here. I think the Rhaegar, it gives you ridiculous Immort burn, especially with the Greymane. If they have that, they'll win every uncontested Immort. And it's going to give you that Ancestral to keep Greymane alive. So I want to see that. And I think I want to see a second frontliner. And here we go. What are we getting? We're seeing the Rhaegar. And actually a second support with the Kharazim. So going with the solo frontline Joanna. Really committing to, we're not going to let Greymane die. The question is Joanna going to be able to do enough? Joanna was a little bit impatient with her Iron Skins in the Towers of Doom game. Just a little bit impatient. But I think if Joanna can be a bit more patient, and I think that's been Team Conflict's biggest problem, is they've been very impatient, then I think we can see them be able to win those Immorts and try to turn that. My fear is, once they win the Immortal, they're going to have a really, really hard time getting kills in team fights. This is effectively a triple support comp. And I'm just somewhat confused, I would say. This is... I want to like what Team Conflict is doing here, but I don't. I think the ability to get kills on the part of Azeroth is going to be so great that they're just going to blow up people one at a time and the supports aren't going to be able to save them. Kharazim, you don't want to go Divine Palm in this situation. May have to go Divine Palm because of just how much blow up there is. And that's going to reduce their damage significantly. Now, I expect to see a damaged Kharazim. I expect to see a damaged Tehran. But this is a triple support Greymane carry. But the only real strong front line is the Joanna. And we've seen, unfortunately, from Nisankir's Rhaegar, I've seen some pretty questionable positioning in that last game. But we'll see what happens here on Battlefield of Eternity. Team Conflict, are they going to be able to work this weird comp to complete the upset, or is Azeroth just going to team fight their way to victory? Let's find out. And let's start over in the blue corner with the challengers. Nisankir going to be on that Rhaegar. Takanami on the Kharazim. Played a really aggressive Stukov in the first game, so I like him on the aggressive support. Altanian going to be doing that pseudo kind of damage poke that he's been doing with the Tyrant. Quintaka going to be on the Joanna, and Greymane going to be played by Michaelin. And in the bot lane, all of them stacking up, the Falcon sprays are coming back out. Kaladin on the Kael'thas, Seraphir once again on the Malfurion, Amonway once again on Diablo, Elderup going to be on that ranged DPS Lunara, and we're going to see Scattered now on the Sonya. So already looking, trying to see if there's any kind of cheese coming. Going to split to lanes, Sonya up in the top. It's just going to be Joanna Rhaegar. I like this. They have wave clear. They're going to try to make something happen. Definitely some swag points with the sprays coming out from Azeroth. They don't want Conflict to know where they are. Sonya right now against 3 people. Looks like Kael'thas is going to rotate up to try to get help there, and that's actually kind of good for him. He's going Flame Strike build, so this is a very aggressive Kael'thas build. We're seeing War Paint taken from Sonya, Shadow Charge from Diablo. Hunter's Mark cooldown reduction from Tyrande. We are seeing, of course, the Iron Fist on Kharazim as expected. Double Lightning Shield Rhaegar, and Cocktail build coming out from Greymane. Regen Master picked up from Joanna rather than block. There is quite a bit of spell damage from that Kael'thas. I still think block may have been the better pick just because the rate at which you're going to get orbs is pretty low here, but let's see what happens. Action in both lanes. Rhaegar being a bit aggressive in that Diablo. Got to be a little bit patient there. Kael'thas getting the Living Bomb out, and Takanami actually diving Michaelin, kind of juke him out. Greymane trying to make something happen to Lunara. No real follow-up potential there. Going to take a bit of poke, but this double support won't be denied, though Takanami's mana already a bit low. Wave clear advantage in the bottom, definitely going over, but doing a much better job soaking here. Neither team losing. Great stun onto Lunara, but Michaelin in a bad position, jukes out a bit, takes the slam, almost goes down, but they'll get to the first phase, and now this top already being a little bit in favor of Azeroth. They already had 3 of their big damage dealers up here. Long rotation for the Greymane and Kharazim. Greymane gonna jump in. Did he blow his W? He still has his W going. So the burn is gonna come in, and the burn potential is just absolutely insane. Look at that. Look at how much later. Look at how much later Team Conflict got to that, and yet they're still basically even. And recognizing this, we're seeing an adjustment from Azeroth. They are going to try to invade here, and in fact, trusting their team fighting. Joanna a bit out of position, letting Diablo get into the backline. Huge Flame Strike into the Immortal stun. Flip on Takanami into the root. He's going to Radiant Dash out of there, but Living Bomb is just preventing Rhaegar from running away like he wants to. Joanna, meanwhile, getting picked off. And Joanna getting a little bit too far in front of our team there. Going to be a big chance for Azeroth to get in. They're just going to let Lunara burn. Now we're seeing Kael'thas come in, getting a little bit impatient. But it's going to be, you know, that Diablo Sonya wall is going to be hard to break. And now realizing that there's no re-engage coming, you know, Diablo's going to be left alone to defend. But the burn is there. It's 1,000, it's 800, it's 200. It is one dead angel. And so the demons are going to take this. I don't know the demon's name. Right? Belroth or something like that. Anyway, lore. Rhaegar now stuck solo laning the Sonya. Now that's their primary heals-based support. Going to be stuck in the top lane because of that better wave clear. You can't leave really anyone else there. There's going to be a 4-man push on bottom. Just a lot more damage from Azeroth. It's just going to come down to the supports, making sure not to spread the Living Bomb. This Immortal, luckily Altanian's not going to bait this Immortal over the wall onto himself in a bad position. Living Bomb, though, on Takanami, going to be able to defuse it. But that poison damage and the Flame Strike once again coming out. Joanna quite low and already 11 stacks of Convection. Meanwhile, Rhaegar losing this lane to Sonya. Sonya could make an aggressive play here. Both teams looking at that bottom siege, but here comes the hook in. There's the Slam Whirlwind. Rhaegar, though, going to be able to get away. Point Rhaegar needs to be very patient. We are going to see an invasion onto this bottom siege, and oh my goodness, the patience from Azeroth until Amonaway stomps. But Joanna steps out and gets stunned, pops the Iron Skin to be able to get away. Siege camp taken by Team Conflict here. Gonna get that slight edge. Slight experience lead. Sonya now starting to work the walls as Nascent here had to back to heal. Trying to get some trade onto Sonya, but he's not going to win that 1v1 too hard. Camp going to be cleared by the Lunara pretty quickly as Greymane, though, starts to rotate up, looking for Sonya. Here comes the dive. Cocktail in, not going to be able to get the finish. But now they're going to rotate up into that top siege camp, you have to imagine. And that's a signal. Hey, guys, it's 4v2 on bottom. Time to invade. And another Flame Strike. Kael'thas at 17. He only needs 3 more. Keep your eye on that. Sonya just poke checking in. Top siege camp going, but they're going to just walk in and take the fort. Bit of a macro mistake by Team Conflict. Fort's not going to go down due to a Monoway being low. Blind's just trying to be able to get that kill. It's not there. Another Flame Strike. Kael'thas only 2 away. They got the siege camp on top. They didn't get the pick. They still don't have the XP lead. And it's quite a structural advantage on that front wall to Azeroth. But here comes that burn. Azeroth's going to trade out on this first one. Rhaegar's not there to add his W to the burn. Still, though, with the Turon Greymane, quite a big lead. Already 5,000. And so now you're going to see Azeroth look potentially for that engagement. Kael'thas, though, out of position. Is Greymane going to turn on him? He is. Gravity Lapse going to save Greymane. But now Michaelin a bit out of position. Is he going to get stunned? No, he manages to avoid it despite the Ancient Spear from Sonya. Kael'thas taps. He's back into the fight. This is going to be a 5v5 over the fate of this Immort. No real poke because of the Greymane. Lunara is way out of position, but nobody punishes it. Joanna wasn't really there to do it, and this is the problem with only having that one tank. Rhaegar just steps into a stun. That's a misplay. Healing Ward set down, going to be broken, and Rhaegar is just getting absolutely focused down. He does go down. Diablo super low, but going to be able to get away using his Demon's AoE stun. Rhaegar goes down. Still seeing a 4-man defense, now a 3-man defense as Lunara and Sonya go up to the top of the burn. Kael'thas doing a good job getting this bottom soak. Azeroth has just been able to out-soak Team Conflict reliably in this series. And it's something Team Conflict definitely want. If they can improve that heading into next season, they'll be going to say. Michaelin sets himself up to get dove by Diablo. Diablo, I don't know if he thought it was bait or just didn't recognize the situation. Chooses not to dive. Joanna in the back. Greymane is nowhere near the rest of the team as he's cleaning the lane. Convection has to be done, and in fact it is. But defense now coming out. Both Immorts roughly the same health. Slight advantage to the Angel. Greymane on the bottom. He is in a really bad spot. There's a charge. Once again, just a lack of patience and a lack of focus in the team fight, and Greymane goes down. Team Conflict is really doing this to themselves, and boy, here comes the invade. Once again, Team Conflict trying to force a fight 4v5. Living bombs are just everywhere. Joanna gonna have to back off, using that Condemn. This Angel's dead. They need to just get out of here and cut their laws and go. Stun on the Kerosene, flip, there's the Living Bomb, dead. And now the chase is on, and they might lose more than that. Rhaegar is probably going down. Yes, he does. And now Joanna's going to go down too. Just a really, really big set of misplays by Team Conflict that they can learn from there. Greymane has no business trying to solo the Immort on the back when you don't know where the rest of the team is. And then at the end, it's a 4v5 fight. They're going to pick up level 10s if you get any more deaths. You need to back off, soak the lane, and just defend the Immortal. And I think if they can make those adjustments heading into next season, I think they can actually be a significantly better team. But it's these impatient decisions that took them from being up 1-0 to now being on their back foot in Game 3. Already level 10 advantages, and level 10 into level 9. No real way to soak it. Greymane's going to the bottom to try to get him there. This could very well be a keep. It will certainly be the keep wall. Phoenix down over the back wall. Joanna separates. Flip comes in, Iron Skin blown, but Johanna's just going to take a ton of damage here. And still, every ultimate but Phoenix up. This might turn into more than keep if if there's another misplay by Conflict. Once again, though, here comes the engage. 4v5. Condemned there. I know they want to save their keep, but oh, Michaelin is just out of position. Gonna recognize it and back off. But Conflict takes a situation where they're leading on the Immort. They get one kill, and they just start to make just decisions that put them in positions where they lose fights. And now they're 5-man laning. They know they need to fight before this level 13. Here's an advantage down on the siege, but Kael'thas, he's going to be in position to do work. Flamestrike comes in the back. There's the APOC. Phoenix is going to come up. Roots are in. Amonaway, though, very low in the back. Amonaway is going to go down. That is his souls, but it's a 5-man wipe for Team Conflict. And it's just getting away from them. This is more in line of what we expected heading into the series. You still have to give Team Conflict a lot of credit. They played so great in that first game. But that was just straight up. You have the opportunity for a team fight. You're on mostly equal talent tiers. I think 13 was just about to be picked up. But great aggression, great combo synergy from Azeroth. They were not going to be denied in that team fight. They used the small space to their advantage. Seen a little bit of a perfect spread in some ways from Team Conflict with that Apocalypse. And uh-oh, is Greymane the target here? Certainly going to rotate up the siege. Now Greymane's going to be left to his lonesome. But they were spread out just perfectly, and APOC has just carpet bombed the space that Team Conflict's tried to occupy. Really good team fights in these last two games from Azeroth. But again, this triple support, I think there's so many ways you can improve this comp by just replacing Kerosene with something a bit more meta for this type of situation. And leap onto the back line. Talk about hyper-aggression going into the leap. Divine Palm going to be used on Takanami to keep him alive, but the Twilight Dream follow-up is there. Kerosene does go down in the back of that. Mikulin just trying to get away, and Ancestral has to be blown just to get Mikulin out, and that is a huge win. Now Joanna's going to go down. Do you even go to the Immort, or do you just go to the Keep? It looks like they're going to play it somewhat safe here. I think this is a situation where they could definitely go Keep. You have two camps up on the top. They have to be dealt with. That's time at least to take a Keep wall. You know your Immort's going to go to bottom. If that Keep wall's down, you very easily end the game off that with level 16. But playing it safe, Owls not really finding anyone there. And now a 3-level lead once again for Azeroth Falcons as they start to think about Misfit Island. And here we go. So, trying to just burn as much off that shield as they can as Team Conflict. But this is going to be about a 3/5, about a 60% shield. This is quite a bit. This Keep, I don't see a way it survives, barring a 5-man wipe. And here comes the leap. Gonna catch Rhaegar. Rhaegar once again caught out. Divine Palm comes in, and it does get procced by the Living Palm at the last second, but it's not enough as the Root was there to follow up. Really good heads-up play there by Surfer. His Roots have just been extremely powerful this game. The getting the Root down on the Divine Palm target was great. But now that is Rhaegar down. They have no Ancestral. They have no Blessed Shield. The only thing they have is the Shadow Stalk. And Joanna got stunned there for a bit. And Azeroth thought about it and said, yeah, I think we'll take Joanna. I mean, she's right there. And this is going to be Core going down. And another big Flame Strike onto the Root. Twilight Dream is a whiff. But the burn onto the Core is there. I don't see a way this gets stopped unless they kill people right now. No, this is GG. And a bit of a hiccup from Azeroth. Maybe they were trying something new in that first game, but whatever they did not work out. But it worked out in Game 2, and it definitely worked out in Game 3. Azeroth Falcons now, with a 2-1 victory, is going to move on to face Misfit Island. And so we now have, and I can even pull this up here. We now have your semifinals for Division C set up. Let's take a look at that. I'll go ahead and pull that window up. Bear with me for just 1 second. Here we are. So, looking at your playoff, we see that All for Waifu got upset by late game, though, in the top quarterfinal. So late game, though, we'll move on to play my team, Misplay Salts. We'll see Azeroth Falcons gonna take the win. Not as clean as they would like with the loss in the first game, but dominant game 2 and 3. And they'll go to play Misfit Island. Now, Misfit Island has been a scrim partner for us. I think that's going to be a good game. I think if you can watch Azeroth Misfit Island, you should watch that game. This game is going to be great. Azeroth Misfit Island, it was a 1-1 series in the first. Both these teams like to do some unique things. We saw the hyper-aggression from Azeroth. Misfit likes to bring in some cool drafts, some weird stuff that's really hard to predict for and plan for. But I think this is just a really potentially great series. Yes, we're Division C, but we put on a good show. So with that, gonna throw out my MVP of the series. Gotta give it to, in this case, Amanaway. His Diablo play really set up everything that Azeroth did in game 2 and 3. Amanaway was on a DPS in that first game. I believe he was on Falstad. So an interesting change-up, but it definitely worked out in their favor. Congrats to Azeroth Falcons for making it to the semifinals. And Team Conflict, you know, you lost, but damn, you have some things to grow on. There are signs, even in those losses, of things they did well, but it's got to be the decision-making that improves first. It's not the team fighting that they need to focus on right now. The team fighting is there when they are being smart about their engagements. But throughout the series, we saw a lot of attempts to take fights against numbers, 3v4s, 3v5s, 4v5s. Take fights even after someone gets picked off. At a certain point, you need to say, look, the only way that this spirals out of control is if we start dying now. If we lose an Immortal, but it only has a third health in shields, when Greymane's back up, we can burn that down, and maybe we'll lose the fort because of the level 10 advantage, but we will get our level 10s and we won't lose the keep. Instead, with the deaths, you're not getting soak, you're not getting anyone on the map being able to make plays, and you're taking these fights 4v5 to put you in a bad position. So focus on the macro team conflict, and I think you'll come back with a lot of growth in Season 2. With that, I'm going to tell everyone to take care. Cannot wait for Azeroth Misfits. I can't wait for our game. Tune in before you switch over to 7th 8th. Hey guys, Thursday night, Misplaced Alts first late game though. Come out and give us a cheer. I don't believe anyone's casting game yet. I sure as shit can't be casting because I'm probably going to be playing Rhaegar. We will see everyone then. Take care.